duration, and it's great for your health. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Advanced Monday Afternoon Live Stream. I'm your host, Peter, and we're joined this week by Christine. Hello, Christine.
Hi, Peter. Hi, everybody.
Always good to have Christine with us. And as you can perhaps tell by the title of our live stream today, Christine is returning for part 2 of a topic that we began back in March, talking to the doctor, English for talking to the doctor. And there are just so many words, so much vocabulary that you might want to have when you're talking to the doctor that we figured, we didn't cover it all in one episode. We're going to give you a second episode. So that is our topic for today, coming, as always, from an article in your trusty Advanced magazine for the month of September. This week, it's called Medical Advice from Social Media. So kind of a particular aspect of medicine here and how you need to be a little careful about getting medical advice from social media. Christine, do you get medical advice from social media?
I have not up to this point, but I have heard stories of friends who've used social media to get the diagnosis that they needed. So I've heard some positive stories, but I am a little bit leery, a little bit careful as well.
No, that's good. Be a little bit leery, a little bit wary, a little bit careful are what those words mean. Chime in for us. Let us know on our poll. As always, we start off with a poll question. Christine, what's our poll question for today?
So our question is, different one. That's a discussion question. We'll get to that later. What is most important in a doctor? Experience, personality, training, or the bill?
Yep. Obviously, there's a lot of overlap here. A good doctor will have more than one of these qualities. But when it comes down to it, what would you say for you is the most important quality in a doctor? Experience, personality, training, or the bill? And for me, I think I would have to, it's close. It's close because you want the doctor to know their job. But personality plays big for me because I've been treated by doctors who had a very overly business approach to their work, and I didn't really feel better after being treated by them, even though they were knowledgeable, knew what they were doing, but there was just something missing from the personality. I felt like I was being treated by someone who didn't really want to see me, and I don't know what was going on in that doctor's mind that day, but nevertheless, ever since then, personality has been the key feature for me. So a doctor who can sympathize with you and understands that just by seeing the doctor, you've got some cares on your mind, some worry in your heart, and he or she can address those as well as what may be physically wrong with you. Christine, what's most important for you?
That's a hard one because I agree having an experienced doctor gives you some confidence, but at the same time, if the experienced doctor has no willingness to listen to your symptoms or to care about what's going on with you, it's not likely that they're going to get to the bottom of what's wrong. And so I think also I've had the experience of having an experienced doctor or an experienced doctor with a personality where they listen and they care and they work hard for you. And of course, 100%, that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm very fortunate, though, that I do have doctors that, in general, have very good personalities and experience. So I've been really lucky that way.
Oh, good. Anyway, let us know if you've been lucky or unlucky. Chime in on our readers poll. We'll give you the results at the end of the live stream, and they'll always be in the more information box after the video's over. So whenever you're looking in on us here, you can find out the results of the poll. Hello, Steve. Good afternoon to you. Always good to have you with us. Let's give you some vocabulary. That's what we're here for. Vocabulary for talking to the doctor. We start off with a good word here, and you'll see a lot of this vocabulary has meaning, has usage outside of a doctor's appointment. So it's not going to be overly specialized. But yeah, you might need to know this word when you see a doctor. Throb. T-H-R-O-B. But nice short little word. We have so many long words. This is a nice little short one. Throb. Christine, what does throb mean?
When I think of throb, I often think of a throbbing headache. You know those headaches that have that pulsing feeling to them? So for something to throb, it needs that consistent pattern of pulsing.
Right. It's not just steady or continuous or only when you move in a certain angle. It's And similarly, you might hear throb used to describe music at a nightclub or something. I tried to have a conversation with this person, but the music was just throbbing. And you'll hear it in that context too. But yeah, because the doctor will often ask you, what kind of pain do you have? Doctor, I'm in pain. Well, tell me about the pain. What's it like? And if it's that kind of pain, you can say it's a throbbing pain. Joshing, hello, nice to see you. I like to take drugs from the drugstore. Well, yes, when you're sick, definitely. I like to take drugs from the drugstore too. But sometimes I think it's foolhardy.
Oh, that's a vocabulary word.
Nice word there. Yes, foolhardy. Sort of more sophisticated way of saying foolish. Foolhardy means basically the same thing. Means unwise. Foolhardy, maybe not quite as blunt as foolish or stupid, but foolhardy, not wise, not very thinking about it, as it were. And what does Steve say?
And Steve says, when I was watching NCSI, Detective Conan, and CSI, I heard about doctors have to learn how to investigate every stuff and fingerprints on how to identify who's the criminal.
Yes, doctors do a lot of investigating too. It's not just you have a headache, here's some medicine for you. Doctors can be very investigative in their work. And these kind of doctors are probably more forensic doctors working with the police on crime sites and such, rather than a general practitioner or a pediatrician who is just going to treat your head cold stuff and things like that. But yeah, doctor covers a wide range of activity and persons, definitely.
But a regular doctor definitely has to do a lot of investigation. Because you come in with these symptoms and they might not all match together perfectly. And so the doctor really has to listen carefully to figure out, okay, how do these symptoms match together to become a diagnosis?
Yes.
There's a lot of detective work in it.
Very good point. And that's why we're giving you some vocab to help the doctor do his detective work and figure out the crime that's taking place in your body so you can solve it, get you feeling healthy again. Here's another one for you. Tingle. 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 Not always necessarily a bad thing, just like with throb. But Christine, what does tingle mean?
I think of another phrase, pins and needles.
Yes.
Those are kind of similar. So if you have pins and needles, it's like if you fell asleep on your arm and your arm has that prickly feeling. That's pins and needles. So tingle is the same. It's that prickly feeling, that little bit of piercing, but back and forth.
Right, like a lot of sharp points, very quickly but gently being put into you. So it's not like a sharp pain like that. It's not a throbbing pain. It's just what is that?
You feel it. But it doesn't hurt, but it's uncomfortable.
Right. It is, I think, where Christine used the example of when you fall asleep on your foot or your arm, or it falls asleep, as we say, and you have that tingling in it. There you go. That's a good a way to think of what tingle means. And another one here, cramp. Nice short word this week. CRAMP. Cramp. Christine, it's cramp.
So cramp is when your muscle contracts and it contracts so much that it hurts. So you can have stomach cramps, you can have leg cramps. Like sometimes if you're swimming and you have a leg cramp, that's the worst. But it's when your muscle just gets really tight and it won't release. It's terrible. I hate it.
Yeah, no, I get them actually sometimes in the middle of the night.
Me too.
I hate it. I think it's maybe an age thing. I hate to say it. But yeah, I'll be lying in bed and suddenly, I'll twist and turn in my leg. You can kind of sense it a second or two before it happens. And it's like, oh no. But yeah, fortunately, it is just that sudden contraction, extreme contraction of the muscle, and it hurts so much.
It hurts a lot.
Pinch your lip. That's what they taught us in Boys Club. Pinch your lip.
Pinch your lip.
Because that will actually give your brain another pain to focus on, which will help the cramp to relax more. It's kind of tricking your brain by giving it two emergencies instead of just the one, and it switches its attention over to here. Because you can pinch your lip really, really hard without actually hurting yourself.
Right.
Just to be clear here, I'm not advocating a dangerous course of action, because the cramp is solved by the muscle relaxing. And as it relaxes, the pain goes away. So now, granted, they taught us this when you have a cramp, like you mentioned, Christine, when you're swimming. Because it's one thing when you're lying in bed, you get a cramp. It's another thing when you're
swimming
in deep water, and you can't. Yeah, so they taught us pinch your lip there because you need to get that cramp relaxed quickly. Otherwise, down you go. So anyway,
you learn new things every day.
Little tip for you there. Let's give you one more vocab word, and then we'll throw you another discussion question. In fact, this is related to cramp. If you have a cramp in your leg, you might end up with a limp. L-I-M-P, the shortest word for today. Limp. Christine, it's limp.
Yeah. So if you have a muscle cramp, your muscle hurts. And so the next day you might be walking a little unusual. That would be a limp. Another word for limp is just not stiff.
Yes.
So kind of floppy or weak.
Right. Limp, just if you're tired at the end of the day, you might just be like, just sort of unable to hold your strength together, hold your posture, and you might just sit limply in your chair until you fall asleep. But yeah, a doctor will say, Mr. Brown, I noticed that you came in here, you had a limp. And that's what he's talking about, that you were walking in a kind of funny way.
Yeah.
And so he would probably want to look at your foot or your leg. Agatha, hello, Agatha. There is a patient portal designed for doctor and patient to communicate conditions and medication use when you see a doctor in a bigger healthcare system in the U.S. Yes. Thank you for the tip, Agatha. Definitely these days, with the online world and AI, there are all these portals by which doctors and patients can also communicate and meet that way.
Yeah, and Agatha also says, but I don't think we have patient portals in Taiwan.
Well, not yet. There's a thought for some of you entrepreneurs out there, some of you medical students, patient portals in Taiwan. Think about that. And joshing, limp means wobbly, right? It is very close to wobbly. Yeah, someone who is wobbling down the street. We wouldn't quite say that they're limping, but it's close.
Wobbly feels like unsteady. So if your chair is wobbly, it's unsteady. It might not be safe to sit on.
Right.
Whereas if you're walking wobbly, maybe you're drunk or maybe you're lightheaded. Whereas if you're limping, you have an injury that's causing you to not be able to walk regularly.
Right. You're
so it's
basically okay if you have a limp. You're basically, the rest of your body's okay except for that leg that you have to drag or you have to bend it a certain way. Whereas wobbly is more total body kind of limpness.
Yeah, that's a great question. A good clarification.
Yeah, thank you, Joshie. All right, we said let's give you another discussion question. Let's give you another discussion question. And of course, feel free to chime in on the poll question throughout the live stream and even afterwards, although not afterwards, no. Never mind that last part, but during the live stream, the poll question remains active. But discussion question for right now. How do you find a good doctor? We talked about what's important in a doctor, but how do you go about finding a good doctor? Do you go by the recommendation of a friend or family member, or do you just go online? Do you go to ChatGPT nowadays? How do you find a good doctor? Christine, how do you find a good doctor?
Well, I've always just done it by luck, at least in Taiwan. I just go to the hospital and say, who's available? And then they give me the person who's available. And I've actually been very fortunate that I've had great doctors just by who's available. But Canada's system, you have to see a family doctor and tell them what's wrong with you. And then if they think it's serious enough to see a specialist, they refer you. So you don't choose. You get referred. The best you could do is you could ask your specialist, who would you recommend? Now that I have to go to the next level, who would you recommend for me to see if this was your daughter or your mother? And then maybe they'll tell you the best one and refer you to them.
Yeah, surely recommendations, I think, play a central role in finding a good doctor. Joshing says, from my close friends, yes, a good friend, they recommend a doctor. That's always a great way to get a doctor. Yeah, for me, finding a good doctor, I would probably go by a recommendation from someone. And also a visit, though. I mean, I would have to visit them at least once to see if, because like I say, personality is important for me with a doctor. So I would have to see if I have a good feeling from this doctor. It doesn't matter how many certificates they have on the wall. Those are important, but those aren't the key. Those aren't the deal breaker for me.
We also have another response here from Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
I ask my family or I talk to others on Facebook groups. based where I live. That's a great idea to find someone near where you live.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's great.
I mean, do any of you out there go to like find a list of Harvard Medical School graduates and see if any of them are in your neighborhood? I don't know. These days, the way you can get all this information from the internet or from ChatGPT, that could be potentially a way to find a doctor if the training, the background is the most important part for you. Steve says, if I need to find a good doctor, I will probably go to the internet. Yeah. And if it's good for my family, I'll try and tell my family, right? Spread the word. I also remembered there's a song, Steve says, from Barney the Dinosaur. And it's called The Doctor is a Friend of Mine. And it taught us how doctors are very important in our life to take care of our health. Yes,
Barney.
Definitely. Good old Barney.
Good old Barney.
Agatha says, word of mouth. Yeah, word of mouth. Recommendation by another doctor. Yes, good point. Our family and friends are all great, but they're all patients, right? What do the doctors recommend? I hadn't even thought of that. Thanks for the tip, Agatha. Most of the time, look it up from your insurance network. Yeah, I mean, because, at the end of the day, who's paying for it and, who do they think you should see? That carries some weight.
And Joy says, pick the doctor with the most patients. They're going to have the most experience and probably you might be able to check their reviews too, because you can do that sometimes. Yeah. But hopefully that means they're really good at what they do.
Yeah, the same way you pick a restaurant, right? Look for the restaurant where the most people are eating in it.
And stand in line.
And stand in line. Look for the doctor with the most patients. Agatha says, otherwise the medical bill may surprise you. Yeah, so we do have to keep finances in mind when we're choosing a doctor. Yes. Definitely. Thanks all for those tips. If you're just watching and you still want to chime in, feel free to do so. We are beginning to wind down on time here, so let's give you a couple more vocab words and squeeze in a few idioms too. Always like to give you some idioms.
That's right.
But here's what we are looking for. Here's a word or two of what we're looking for when we go to the doctor. Alleviate. A little longer one this time. Alleviate, alleviate. Christine?
Alleviate means to lessen, maybe to take away, or at least to make it a little bit better. So we go to a doctor because we have a pain of some kind, or we have an illness of some kind, and we're hoping the doctor can help us alleviate the suffering.
Right. He might use that word too. This medication I'm going to give you will alleviate the pain, but you still need to have some treatment on the condition that's causing it. Right. So more has to happen. But anyway, that's what he means by alleviate. And, I love this one. Soothe. S-O-O-T-H-E, soothe. Christine?
Yeah, so soothe is, I think of it as like, if you put like a minty something on a burn, and it's like, feels better. Yes. Or the other word, when we use soothe, we use it a lot for like babies. If a baby's crying and you're patting their back and you're whispering to them and you're trying to calm them down, you're soothing them. So it's that feeling of releasing the tension and feeling like you're okay again.
Exactly. So a good doctor will help you alleviate the pain in some way, but I think a good doctor will also soothe you and help you feel more calm, more relaxed about the situation, about the illness or the injury you've got, and so that you can feel better about working with him or her to treat it and looking forward to getting better. But just a minute or two here for an idiom. Let's go with this one. Feeling under the weather. Now, feeling is in parentheses there because usually you may just hear the phrase under the weather. Oh, I'm under the weather today. Christine, what does it mean?
If you feel under the weather, it means you're not feeling 100%. You're feeling maybe like you've got a cold, maybe worse, but I have no idea what the origins of this is.
Yeah, something perhaps about how the weather can sometimes influence our physical condition. If you've ever had a friend or maybe a family member who had a trick knee, so-called, that always acted up when the typhoon was coming or when the weather was going to change in some way. We're speculating here. You might want to look this up online. But yeah, under the weather, it's not something you would say when you're having a heart attack. No. Oh, he's a little under the weather. No, under the weather, it's deliberately kind of vague. It's deliberately it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but nothing really specific.
Yeah, you're just not feeling great today.
Yeah, you're not feeling great, and maybe you should stay home before you feel even less great.
Right.
It kind of starts with feeling under the weather. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday Not next Monday, because next Monday is a holiday for us teachers, or, at least here at ORTV, we have the day off because it's Teachers' Day next Monday. But we will be back on Tuesday, 1 o'clock, same time, but on Tuesday next week, with a new topic, new chance to practice your vocabulary. And if you want to check your calendars, the following Tuesday, after next Tuesday, will also be a day in which we will stream on Tuesday instead of Monday. We'll give you a reminder about that closer to the day. For now, just remember, we'll see you next Tuesday instead of next Monday. For today, though, I'm Peter.
And I'm Christine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, what I wonder is, can this